Hello dear viewers and welcome to T-World. Kindly hit the subscribe button and we will be on our way. In today's news, putting a previous president being investigated for supposed criminal conduct would be the main indictment of its sort in American history. It would likewise do much toward re-establishing the legend that no individual or company is exempt from the laws that apply to everyone else. As James Doyle has made sense of, putting Trump being investigated recovers American equity, looking both in reverse and forward. I would contend that placing the previous mobster and boss and his associates being investigated for subversive scheme to oust the U.S. government, ostensibly a definitive sacred wrongdoing, is more unmistakable than the theoretical objective of recovering American equity. Right now, considerable fair treatment equity bests procedural fair treatment equity. After the initial 5 formal conferences held by the House Select Board of Trustees exploring the coordinated and composed exercises of Donald J. Trump and his partners to take the 2020 official political race, finishing in the Jan. 6, 2021, Capitol assault, it appeared to be evident that Attorney General Merrick Garland wouldn't indict Trump for 2 likely felonies: deterring an authority continuing and taking part in a scheme to cheat the United States. Yet, the 6th hearing, and the sensational declaration of Cassidy Hutchinson, a helper to previous White House head of staff Mark Meadows, the supposed really subtle eavesdropper, was genuinely a unique advantage. Realizing that Trump invited the outfitted weapons and the attack on the Capitol was absolutely nothing unexpected to a great many people who have been focusing. Knowing Trump as a criminal biographer, I was not shocked to discover that he might have genuinely attacked someone else under conditions like those on the event when he struck his first-grade educator in the head before an entire study hall of his friends. It was a shock to me at first that Trump needed to be available at the Capitol during the attack, for both lawful and well-being reasons. That would have been exceptionally imprudent, bouncing into Trump's dreamland. In any case, where he accepted that he was not at actual gamble, I could likewise envision Trump imagining himself riding up the steps and into the Capitol on a white steed, in front of his soldiers. Review that Trump had effectively shielded himself from affectation of rebellion during his second indictment preliminary, fighting that his ellipsed discourse was safeguarded by the First Amendment and that he had no information about the group's cosmetics, its goals, or its conceivable weaponry. Trump's guard was conceivable. By then, on the grounds that after just a month of examination the House indictment supervisor's body of evidence against him depended on fortuitous instead of direct proof. All of that changed with the declaration of Cassidy Hutchinson. That is the reason the declaration of Pat Cipollone, Trump's previous White House counsel, who was cited by Hutchinson as saying, "We will get charges of every wrongdoing under the sun, including rebellious intrigue along with jury altering," has now been summoned by the Select Advisory Group. I don't envision that any government arraignment of Trump will happen before the finish of 2023. Meanwhile, nonetheless, almost certainly, the previous president will be arraigned before the finish of 2022 for the crime of requesting Georgia Secretary from State Brad Raffensperger to upset the result in that state by finding 11,780 phony votes, one more than Trump lost the state by to Joe Biden. In the Georgia case, Trump could be accused of abusing upwards of 4 rules. These incorporate trying to have polling forms counted that Trump knew were tangibly misleading, imaginary, or fake under the regulations of the state of Georgia, contriving with Meadows and 2 different legal counselors to harm, abuse, compromise, or threaten any individual, requesting someone else to alter with any balloters list, citizens' authentication, and taking part in criminal sales to unyieldingly carry out political race misrepresentation. Following a long period of wrongdoing, debasement, and exemption, it presently creates the impression that the criminal regulation is finally finding the one who has worked a criminal venture inside the Trump organization since the mid-1980s, over 40 years. A non-thorough posting of the previous president's supposed violations would incorporate rape, tax avoidance, tax evasion, the non-installment of representatives, project workers, and lawyers, monetary misrepresentation, racketeering, and check of equity. Trump is a genuine Houdini of middle-class wrongdoing, an expert of disorder and exemption. Not just has he never been sentenced for any wrongdoing, he has never at any point been accused of a crime. As a litigator, Trump is without equal. Starting around 1973, he has been engaged with in excess of 4,000 claims, and in nearly 60% of those as the suing offended party. Up to this point, his case has quite often been tied in with standing out and wearing out rivals. As the late, extraordinary litigator James D. Zirin, creator of Offended Party in Chief, a portrait of Donald Trump in 3,500 lawsuits, composed of Trump. What was significant was to utilize the claim to stand out, to apply monetary strain, and to demonstrate he was the youngster on the block not to be screwed with. The approaching lawbreaker accusations to be documented against Donald Trump by the lead prosecutor of Fulton County, Georgia, and the U.S. branch of justice are both totally different from the huge number of past claims in Trump's profession. Those common cases, over a wide span of time, have forever been about cash. The prospective crook cases will be about Trump's individual flexibility, and whether he will be wearing an orange jumpsuit for the following quite a while.
If you made it to the end of the video, kindly hit the subscribe button and leave a comment, it helps the channel.